Welcome everyone and welcome Gonzo. How are you doing?
I am very well, thank you. How are you?
Yeah, I'm not too bad actually. Just enjoyed Burnley defeating Villa. Got my cup of tea ready. Have you got your cup of tea ready?
Just finished. I've got some cherry and berry cheap cordial from Tesco, which will do.
I think you've got a brand deal with them because you keep mentioning that in every video now.
I don't think it's expensive enough for them to pay anyone any endorsements. Quite frankly, Jed, can't afford me.
Anyway, shall we? Do you want to know what's coming up in tonight's show?
I would love to. So would they in the chat, wherever they are. Where's my finger? There it is. They would.
They would indeed. Right, first of all, coming up, we've got a bit of transfer news. We've got the latest gossip around West Ham United with their transfer business. Then we've got a discussion about the Europa League. Do we want it or do we not want it? Gonzo's never been a fan of the competition. I've always been a fan of it. So we're going to have a little bit of discussion about that. But let's start with the transfer stuff first of all. So Benrahma is a West Ham United player permanently. We're just waiting for an announcement from the club. They're delaying it for some reason, but they have been a little bit naughty on social media earlier on. So they keep putting up stuff of Benrahma, but not announcing the deal.
Naughty. Tease it. Just teases. Not nice in the current climate.
I don't understand the point of it, though, because we all know it's happened. So you're almost sort of like allowing all the other media sources to get the clicks and all that, and they're announcing it. So when it comes around to us announcing it, it's like, well, we know now. We all know that we don't need to click on your article to tell us because you're last to the party with your own news. How can you be last when it's your news?
I don't know. We would own that. I think if we ran the actually, to be fair, I think I probably wouldn't do anything if we were working at West Ham. You'd probably get all the news out. I think I'd be just looking for where the vending machines are and stuff like that, and doing different things. Just seeing if I could kick a ball on the pitch and doing different things. But we'd probably be doing it a little bit differently if Hammer's chat was in charge of the media department.
It's probably a good thing we aren't anyway. So the rest of the news is Jesse Lingard is looking like a more than possibility at the minute. He looks like our main transfer target, and we're trying to get him in ahead of Sunday's fixture so that he can be in the squad to face Liverpool. So that would need to be done, I believe. It's usually, for a Saturday game, it's usually Friday by noon. Yeah. So I don't know if it gets an extra 24 hours or it's just Friday because it's Friday, essentially.
Do we need him for Liverpool, Geo?
Well, I was thinking this. Who comes off the bench? My worry is it's Mipo Debeko. It will be. Who else will it be? It will be Mipo that comes off the bench. He won't be in the squad, and Jesse Lingard will go in.
Yeah, maybe.
But he's only played about 2 games for Man United all season, so I'm a bit suspicious if he's match ready. There's fit, and then there's match fit.
Well, and then there's a third level, which is are you fit enough to David Moyes fit? Exactly that. Yeah.
So I've got my suspicions, but we'll wait and see. However, Hwang Hee-chan is also
nothing I like better, Geo.
Everything has been agreed between West Ham and RB Leipzig over the deal for Hwang Hee-chan. All it's waiting for is a David Moyes tick, the David Moyes seal of approval, and that deal will get done. And they didn't confirm if it's a loan deal or a permanent transfer, so I imagine it's a loan one. But he's looking like the most likely striker if we get one, which contradicts what the journalist earlier said from The Athletic. He said that Jesse Lingard loan fee was £1 million and that could be it. We might
hold on. Which one's waiting for the tick? The Hwanky Panky or the Jesse Lingard?
Hwang Hee-chan. He's waiting for the tick from David Moyes.
Do you think Do you think David Moyes has got to see any Hwanky Panky in person, or do you reckon he's just watched it on the internet?
I reckon he's done it. I think he's looked it up. I think he's been Googling for some Hwanky Panky.
You've got to do what you've got to do. These are tough times for us all, Geo. And what a man does, a man's lounge is his own private castle, quite frankly, as far as I'm concerned. And what you do with the internet.
Unless you're on an Arsenal watch-along. Then
was it an Arsenal watch-along?
Yeah.
Is that what it was?
Yeah.
That was special. That was special. I've got to say. That was. But do you know what? I don't know watching it. I sort of obviously I blame him. It's fully his fault. But he's let's say it was you and I was pleasuring myself under the covers. I would think within 10 seconds, I say 10 seconds, it'll be over in 10 seconds, but within 3 seconds, you might say to me, Gonzo, are you what
You're
you up
right
to?
there.
You know what I mean? I can see,
And
the camera can see, everyone can see what you're doing. You wouldn't pretend everything was fine. You know, I thought, well, be a mate. Saying you need everyone to see you.
To be fair, Gonzo, if it was you, I'd understand. We're fourth. I completely get it. He's just looking at the league table. There's nothing to see here. He's just happy.
Oh, you're quite right. You're quite right. I would have mitigating circumstances, is what you're saying.
Just quickly before I forget them, thank you to Escaping the Rat Race UK for the 199. Is the board starting to redeem themselves? We'll take your questions towards the end of the show, and then there's another one. Thank you to Paul. Thank you to Paul who put
Paul.
Said, anyone know anything about Hwang Hee-chan? Yes, Paul. I did a whole video about it. There's an entire video dedicated to Hwang Hee-chan. And Gonzo had a guest on earlier on the forum channel about he had a guest on that knows about Hanky Panky, and he was claiming he knew about the striker as well.
An expert.
He claimed he knew about the striker. But the thing that Sky Sports said, Gonzo, you'll like this. It was Jim White said it, and so did Sky Cava. Both of them said the board have made 20 to 30 million available to David Moyes should he wish to spend it.
Well, it must be true then if they said it.
I just think
great. You know, look, if that's the case, great. You know, it'd be brilliant. I don't. Somebody's Bobby's just said Geo wouldn't want to interrupt. You wouldn't interrupt me, Rhythm. I know you are a gentleman like that. You wouldn't interrupt me, Rhythm. Sorry, we're going back in time on that. Great. Look, if they've made 25 to 30 million available, fantastic. We just spent it today on Benrahma.
I think that's what I don't believe. There's money. I don't believe there is. I think I'm actually worried that they're almost like pushing Moyes under the bus a little bit already. You know, we've got until Monday to sign players. I think they've already gauged it. They had Carlton Cole on TalkSport earlier, and Carlton Cole got it wrong a little bit and basically said, you know, all the fans are happy now. We're winning games. Everybody said bored out. Well, look at us now. We're doing okay. It turns out they've done all right. And then it backfired on him because social media said, hang on, Carlton, you've really misjudged this.
Social media, you said.
Social media, there was plenty of people. I was quite polite about it. There was people.
You were very polite. Very polite.
There's a lot of people that said, hang on, Carlton, you've got this completely wrong here. People are no longer. People haven't just stopped wanting the board out because we're doing well. We're just enjoying us winning and stuff. So Carlton had to sort of retract his statement to a little extent. Put out a tweet, said, listen, I work for them kind of thing, you know, blah, blah, blah. So anyway, I think it was a bit of a PR own goal. But then I think the club would have seen that and thought, oh no, the fans are kicking off about GSB out again now. Because that's I think the funny thing is, it was very, very quiet. This GSB out campaign had a one-day thing when it was their 11-year anniversary. Then it went quiet again. And everybody's just enjoying being for. Carlton Cole come out and says that. And it sparked up like almost like a revolution again. Everybody's like, right, well, if you think we're no longer GSB out, we're going to remind you with GSB out. I think what Carlton Cole's done is fuel the fire. If Carlton Cole just said nothing would have occurred. Everybody would have kept on enjoying where we are in the league. So because he said that, he sparked West Ham fans ringing into TalkSport saying, well, that lot better spend the money. Back David Moyes. We're fourth in the league. Get your checkbook out. Back him and stuff. And I think the board's almost felt a little, probably seen this, and then they've got in touch with their mate Jim and said, listen, Jim, you need to put out there that there's money available. And if we don't bring in a striker, it's not our fault. Find someone else to blame. Who can we blame? Well, there's only one guy, isn't there? There's only one man you can blame here, and that's the manager. I just feel like they're pushing Moyes under the bus already and saying, if we don't get a striker in, blame the manager.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'm not even sure whether they've given him the money or whatever. There was definitely money from Diangana. So if there's an additional money, so I think the Diangana and the Jesse and the Hugo money has been spent on Benrahma, which means if there is additional money, and I wasn't expecting any, but if there is additional money, then that should yield an additional player. Just in terms of what Carlton Cole said there, he's a nice guy, Carlton, and he is caught between a rock and a hard place because he has having to take the shilling from the club there, which does mean you've got to toe the line to a certain extent. You can't be talking about you probably can't be talking about people masturbating under the bed sheets and things like we do. So you got to play it straight like that. However, the character trait he's displaying there is one that I find is quite prevalent, which is quite often, not with him, but I see it. So, for instance, let's say we get a couple of wins, then some people do turn around and say, not whinging about the stadium anymore, are you? Stadium's all right. you only moan about the stadium when we're losing and stuff like that. And it ain't true, but it's a throwaway comment that quite a lot of people use. And it is a case of, oh, I see, win a couple of games. Because what it is, what they're trying to do is say, what they're trying to say is you're fickle. Your concerns about the board weren't true. Basically, you if West Ham win, all your concerns just melt away. It's the same with the stadium. Actually, you were never bothered about the stadium. You're just using it as a means to be critical. And what it does, it belittles what are quite relevant concerns about the ownership or the seating at the stadium, and it sort of just belittles it a little bit. But I don't think he don't mean it. He's not a nasty guy, and it is difficult for him because they are his bosses. Do you know what I mean? And well, now and before, basically, he's worked under them twice, hasn't he? So it is a bit difficult. He's in a difficult situation.
Yeah. I sympathise with him to an extent, but he also puts himself in that situation by going on there, knowing full well this is going to come up. But there's ways you can play that with a very politician's answer by answering the question, but not actually answering the question. So he specifically said, "Are the fans now okay with the board?" He could have just said, "I don't know. I'm not sure. I think it's quieting down, but I think there's still a bit of unhappiness there." He didn't have to rip into them or something. But what he'd done, I just thought it was a bit of a PR own goal, and it's completely backfired. And I think as a domino effect, I think that's why Sky has suddenly come out saying, well, there's 20 to 30 million. But also, what's 20 to 30 million? That's a massive difference in price. It's not like we've got 20 million to spend, we've got 30. We've got between 20 and 30. It's a 10 million difference. How can you have such a big variation in how much money we've got to spend? If I said to you, can you nip down the shop and get me a shop? And you said, how much have I got to spend? I said, well, between 50 and 100 quid, please. You ring me up saying, your card's declined. I say, what are you paying? You say £80. I say, oh, sorry, I've only got 70. So what you told me is 50 to 100. Just give you a vague. It's just
I don't want to go to the shop for you really now. You've said that.
No, because you'll come back with that cheap diluting juice you've got there.
Cherries and berries.
Yeah, you'll come back with that stuff.
You get a lot of that, 80 bottles.
Yeah, you'll get that.
80 quid.
And flakes. That's what you'll come back with. And custard creams.
Yeah, well, there are other biscuits, but that's, we'll discuss that.
Anyway, that's the latest transfer news. Anyway, Hwang Hee-chan, Jesse Lingard are the two most likely ones. According to Sky, we've got a load of money to spend, but it's up to David Moyes. But we shall wait and see. Saying that, on Monday is transfer deadline day, 11 p.m. The window slams shut as always, or sometimes it gently closes, depends who you support. Gonzo will be live from about 8 p.m. onwards till 11 p.m. Is that your yellow garment?
I haven't got anything yet, so I might just wear the duster as a loincloth or something.
Brilliant. Happy days. Yeah, you wear that. You wear that on the show. But you can join us on Monday, 8 till 11 p.m. We'll get a load of guests on as well and have a little chat about the transfer window. Europa League. Let's talk about Europa League. You've never really been a fan of it.
No.
Has your opinion somewhat changed now that West Ham are possibly in the hunt for a Europa League spot?
Well, look, I don't have anything against the Europa League. Well, I do. I don't have anything against the old format of the UEFA Cup when it was a knockout tournament. What I have a problem is they seem to have rinsed it for everything they can. They saw that the Champions League had a group stage. Thought, oh, that's successful, so we'll do that. Which the Champions League was being played 2 legs. So thought, oh, we'll do that. And it stopped being a cup competition, which was what it always was. There used to, for those of you who don't know, there used to be 3 trophies: European Cup, which comes to Champions League, the Cup Winners' Cup, which obviously West Ham have won. And the Cup Winners' Cup was basically the cup winners from every country would face each other, just a cup knockout competition. UEFA Cup was sort of a bit of an afterthought, really, because they just wanted to get another one. And it just became too much. There were too many games. And because you're going quite far down into the teams, into the leagues. So what you're saying is top 4 finish in Champions League. That's your 4 best teams in the league. Well, do you know what? That might be fine and dandy in England. So traditionally, let's say the top 4 teams do well, then actually the 5th best team might be Arsenal, not this season, obviously, but might be Arsenal, who are a decent enough team usually. And that's fine, but what happens is the 5th best team, no offence to anybody that might be Bulgarian, I don't know why, it's the first thing that came to my head. The 5th best team in the Bulgarian league or whatever, or the 7th best team or whatever the case might be, then actually you've got to go and play them twice on a Thursday night. Not that Thursday's any different to a Friday night, but it doesn't matter what night you play them. The point of the matter is you don't have to play these teams twice. And I think it takes away the glitz and the glamour of what really should be a prestigious competition. It's meant to be a reward. And I'm sorry, facing Spartak Moscow, 10,000 miles away on a Thursday night doesn't feel like a reward. It feels like a punishment. And I like the Champions League because also the Champions League yields a lot of money. The Europa League doesn't yield the same sort of results in terms of financial results. David Sullivan doesn't want to buy enough away tickets because he thinks it's wasting money. Imagine him paying for a flight there that's actually not even going to yield any profit. It's going to make a loss, highly likely. I don't know. I like the Champions League. The Champions League is like a banquet. The Europa Cup is like a pot noodle, really.
Yeah, but listen, I get what you're saying. I kind of get your reasoning here. But if we've got then essentially you'll have 6 games in the group stage, possibly more. That gives fans 6 fixtures to 10. This is European football. We don't get it very often. We probably won't qualify for the following year. Teams tend to do that, don't they? The likes of Burnley, Wolves. Leicester look like they're going to buck that trend this season so far, but they tend to get into it because they've got so much games. Their league form suffers and they don't qualify for the following year. So you almost get like 1 year at it. That gives the fans more games to attend, more opportunities to get to. It increases the chances of a fantastic away tie against one of the bigger European teams. Because while you pick out someone like Ludogorets and stuff, but you might there's top teams in that Europa League, and okay, you might have to get through the group stages playing 1 or 2 teams you've never heard of, but when you get to the knockouts, you've got the teams coming down from the Champions League, which I don't agree with, but you're then playing up against elite teams. You're playing the best in European football. It's an opportunity to create memories for the fan base and stuff. And West Ham's never been about glory. West Ham's never been about challenging for the title or stuff. It's about being the underdogs, playing good football, having a bit of passion, and creating some memories for the fan base and stuff. And I think that's what the Europa League would bring to West Ham. They could allow us to have special games at the London Stadium because we're lacking in them so far. This has been the best season so far for the London Stadium, and the fans ain't even bloody there. We put up with 4 years of average. The 1 year it gets good, we're not there. So we need to start making the London Stadium ours, because whether you like it or you don't, it's irrelevant to some extent because I'm not its biggest fan. But we need to start making a bit of history at the London Stadium because looking at the lease, it's ours for another 95 years or something. So we might as well accept it, whether you like the stadium or not. You've got to accept that that's where West Ham's going to be playing for the foreseeable future. And let's try and make it have something, give it a little bit of history. And I think European football is probably the quickest way of doing that, hosting big teams from around the continent. And I do think it sort of has a sex appeal to some players. I know we just miss it, but we're football fans. I do genuinely think Europa League has some attraction to a lot of footballers out there.
Oh, I don't doubt that. I don't doubt that there's an allure to attracting players. No, I don't doubt that in any way, shape or form. I'm not completely anti-qualifying for Europe. Far from it. Exciting. As someone was just in a chat set and I caught it. Danilo Simic said European nights. Sorry, that was a bit rude. Let me pop his comment up there if I can actually work the bloody thing. He said European nights always feel more special. That they do, and I think I'd be very excited if I was going to one. I'd be excited about it. Make no mistake about it. But I do think you can have too much of a good thing. I really do. There's just too many games, Geo, and I think when you have so many, I think they do cease to be special quite a lot. Once you're in the knockout stages, I totally agree. But that's what I want it to be anyway. But even the knockout stage, I want it to be one game. You take it on the chin, whether you're drawn home or away. And I think you are then, the whole system is hedged so the big clubs don't go out. So basically, there's the old saying is the cream eventually rises to the top. That was the whole point of playing 2 legs in anything. That was the concept of that happening. The group stage was that basically, times 4 sort of thing. You just knew that over a number of games, if they play everyone in the group twice, the big teams will generally succeed. Whereas there is a magic to cup football. That's why it's cup football. And amazingly, they've managed to turn a cup into something that's not a cup. Yes, there's a trophy at the end, but that's not what cup football meant. It meant you could turn up on a day, you don't play well on a day, and that's the uncertainty. I think, and it does take away a bit of the uncertainty. And
okay, it's called the Europa League and not the Europa Cup, then, isn't it?
Well, there you go. They've changed the name. I'm not lucky. It's not lucky at all. Not lucky at all.
Well, it does what it says on the tin. It's the league format.
They've changed the tin. That's why they changed the tin. They peeled the label off. They steamed the label off that said Cup. And then they slapped League on it. Naughty UEFA, naughty FIFA, but we do that anyway.
In the Europa League, because of all the coefficients and stuff, we would be one of the top teams in the group. We would have a nice seed in there. We'd be all right. So we'd probably be in the second or third pot. So there'd be one or two teams below us as well in terms of the rankings and stuff. We'd be able to play a cup team again. The team that played Doncaster, we'd be able to play that in the Europa League in the group stages and get there. It would allow opportunities for, would Harry Kane be so big at Tottenham without the Europa League group stages there when he used to get played in Europa League group stages? You just never know. It would allow Mipo Odebeko an opportunity, Ben Johnson an opportunity.
That is true.
They're struggling for minutes in the groups and in the Premier League because there's 38 games. It's difficult to sort of put them in and justify it when the more experienced players are doing well. So this gives you an opportunity to sort of rotate it without offending anyone, to basically say, right, okay, Thursday night we're going to play Ben Johnson, we're going to play Mipo Odebeko. It allows us to bring in other youngsters. But more importantly, and I think this is probably the best bit for it, actually, it says to our players at the minute, who will be getting looked at by a lot of clubs now, it was all about Declan Rice. There's other players now that people will be looking at. How are West Ham doing this? It will keep them here. I do think we had European football, even in the Europa League. I do think it would convince Declan Rice to stick around for one more season at least. I think he might think, hang on, this club's going all right. This club's now moving in the right direction. We're on the verge of doing something here. Whereas if we were to sort of have a steady Eddie second half of the season, finish 8th, and a big club comes knocking, I think it'd be difficult to keep Declan. But we've got Europa League on the table. I think he might just think, all right, I fancy a bit of this because we'd probably start off as a decent favourite for the Europa League, actually. We were in it. You look at Leicester. Would you back against Leicester not winning this season? No, you wouldn't. You just would not do it, would you? You'd fancy Leicester to go on and win the tournament. And I think you'd do the same with us as well. So I think the Europa League's just only got positive. There is some negatives, the fixture congestion. We would need a bigger squad. There's absolutely no doubt about that whatsoever. But then you could argue that's what gives David Moyes ammunition to say to David Sullivan, you need to back me here because I do not have a squad big enough for the Europa League. I just think it'd be a fantastic opportunity for the football club and the fans, and we'll have to put up with a lot of this from the board. Told you we'd get European football at the London Stadium. We'd have to put up with a little bit of that, but I think it'd be worth it.
No, look, I wouldn't argue with it. If it took you 10 games to get to the final rather than 20, I wouldn't. I'd be a lot more for it. But they need to. They need to cut down on their greed a little bit. But the decision might be made for them, which is was before. I mean, we're about to see a decision. I didn't see the news properly, but I understand the travel restrictions now are going to be massive. There's going to talk about 10 days quarantine, and there's basically going to be new. Caught me arm. And there's going to be new announcements soon. It's only getting stricter. The whole thing across Europe is only getting stricter. Actually, they might try and curtail as much travel as they can. So it may well go back down to just one leg and one knockout. And look, it ain't great. The reasoning for it coming about ain't great. But I tell you what, the tournament will benefit because of it. And then I would get excited about it. Because when you actually, somebody typed in there about playing Astra and stuff like that. When you play those first games against Domzale or Astra or whoever it might be, it seems like so far away. It seems like a million miles away. It does, because it is sort of something like 20 games away. There's an excitement that builds. If you've got 10 games and actually you beat that, think, right, okay, well, we're 9 games away from, I don't know, they're playing the final in the Luzhniki Stadium or whatever it might be. Don't mind going to Russia then, but for the final, by the way.
Is this, can we do it?
Can we qualify?
Yeah. Has this got to be our new aim now, if you like?
I'll tell you why. We can do it. We managed to stay there halfway stage. We're there at the halfway stage. And I would argue that we have actually gone through a period where we were forced to play a player in Sebastian Haller, where we had to drastically alter the way we play, and what it changed with the dynamism of our team. Now, everybody from the Crystal Palace game you can all have your favourite players, and we've all got theirs, and Benrahma played well, and Dawson, and Souček, of course, with 2 goals, and so on and so forth. But Mikel Antonio is integral and vital to the way this team play. And when you take that component part out of it, his energy, the way he pulls wide, just what he does, then you inherently have a different team when you have a guy that wants to stand in the middle and a good finisher, Halle. I'm not criticising, but that doesn't fit our system. So I would argue, and obviously it is based on us bringing in a striker who can roughly mimic what Halle does, what Antonio does. But if we were able to be that or thereabouts with one arm tied behind our back, I don't know how many games, somebody might tell me 7, 8 games Antonio missed, something like that. Not quite half, but I reckon Antonio's missed a third of the games up to now. Then there is no reason why in the second half of the season, why we can't at least match that, possibly better. If we just match it and go 1 win better, we're in. So that's the question. Can we replicate the first half of the season form to the second half of the season? If we do, we're in with a chance. If we do, I reckon we go to the last game of the season with a shout. And you know, the games in hand make it a little bit funny as to whether we're top 4 or whether we're not. I understand some games going on now. Somebody mentioned Sheffield United were winning or something.
Sheffield United are beating Man United, and Everton are beating Leicester as we speak.
I mean, it's a funny league. It is a funny old league. So I wouldn't. So can we? Oh, yes, we can. Yes, we can.
I think that's got to be the aim now. The aim has to be European football. The aim's got to be 6th place in the Premier League and try and get European football. Will I be disappointed if we don't qualify for European football? A little bit, because I'm believing now. I believe we can do it. I believe we will do it, and that's why I will be disappointed. Will I be angry at that? No, of course not. At the start of the season, if we finished 8th, I would have bitten your hand off at the start of the season for that. So to finish at 8th at the start of the season would have been wonderful, but now there would be a bit of disappointment to there. But this is where I pray the board back David Moyes in the next few days of transfer. I don't mean with just Jesse Lingard. I want a striker. I think David Moyes needs a striker, because if not, every single game we're going to be watching through our fingers, praying that Antonio or Souček or Rice does not get injured. Because if they do, the confidence would just hit the floor in the team, in the fan base and stuff. Any one of those 3 gets injured, and we're going to be panicking a little bit. I just think we are in such a prime position right now, and this board are always giving it a big one about European football and stuff. And it's like, well, you've now got an opportunity to show that. You've now got an opportunity to show your manager your ambition. You've got an opportunity to show the fan base what your ambition is for West Ham United. The manager's done all he can. He's got us into a position we never thought would be possible, which is 4th after half the games of the season. We are sitting 4th in the Premier League. They've got to reward him for that, and that is with one player that he wants, that he can bring in and say, this guy's going to get me goals, this guy's going to win me points. Even if it's 3 points, that could be the difference between 8th and 6th come the end of the season. You just don't know. And if they don't, I think they're taking a risk. And I think they're taking a risk not only of annoying the manager, risking European football, but the fan base. Once again, I think they can win over some fans. The board, I do think they can. I think some fans are gone; they'll never come back. They will not back this board. But I think a few fans could be won over by ambition and the success on the football pitch. And to do that, they've got to just back David Moyes.
Well, there's a middle section of fans as well, which you've just mentioned. The two, almost the 2 ends of the spectrum there. There's a whole lot of fans who, if we're doing well, will just not think about the board. You know what I mean? And whereas if they give them another, that's why I was so surprised that they did the thing in the director's box. You know what I mean? With just by trying to get their mates and their family in, absolutely, their mates and their family in to watch the football, basically. Or I was surprised they did that, because actually, for that large chunk of fans who largely sit on the fence, they've gone quiet. And immediately they were saying, "Hold on, this is taking a mick." So I do think that there is that as well. I mean, Zach's there saying GSB out no matter what happens, but not everyone is like that. There are a whole load of people who are in the middle, who are thinking, well, hold on, I just want to watch my football team, and I want to enjoy some glory. But if those people who are, they're in the middle, but they're easily swayed. If they think, well, hold on a second, we had a real chance to go for glory, you didn't do it, then it's going to upset them as well. So they do have an opportunity. I'll totally agree, Gio. They do have an opportunity to. There's some people they will never get back, but there are some that they can keep quiet, and it's whether they choose to do that and show ambition or not.
Anyway, we're going to turn to your questions now. Got some on Twitter and YouTube earlier that we're going to go through, and we're going to get interactive with the live chat. Keep your questions for a little bit later in the show if you are watching along. Drop a like on the video. If you made it this far, you must be enjoying it. We're half an hour in. We're doing something right. Drop a like on the video. Subscribe if you're new to the channel. Anyway, Gonzo, you ready for some interaction?
100%.
Good. Well, we're starting off with Rudy. Alan. Rudy says, given that we have missed opportunity to sell the likes of Dimitri Payet, Markovic, and Manuel Lanzini when their values were high, are there any key players you would consider selling in the summer, perhaps you feel are peaking this season and would raise funds to reinvest?
Yeah, I would. I'd look to sell Souček and Rice. We would get a lot of money for those two.
We would get a lot of money.
We would get a lot of money, wouldn't we? No, I wouldn't have wanted to sell Payet. I think it's bad to sell Payet, but it was forced upon us. I didn't want to sell Arnautovic, but it was forced upon us. I didn't want to sell Lanzini at the time. It's easy to look now and think, oh, we should have sold Lanzini. Right up to the point where he was in that Argentina World Cup squad, he was a real contender for one of the best attacking midfielders in the league. Liverpool were on the cusp of selling Coutinho, and he was a real viable option for him. And they sold Coutinho for 150 million. So it was easy to say that now. No. I mean, it could. So don't rule out the prospect of I don't want it to happen. What about Souček? What about if Souček gets a cruciate knee ligament injury now, and he takes a year to recover from it, and then he comes back and he's sort of limping around? He's not quite the same player. We could be saying we should have sold Souček back then when he was scoring all the goals. Yeah, you can say that, but I don't want to sell Souček. You can't. You got to hope for the worst doesn't happen. With Lanzini, it's injury. With the other two, something very, very different happened. So we weren't in control of Payet and Arnautovic, unfortunately. Although I do feel Payet was probably misled. I think Arnautovic was going whatever because he wanted money. I think Payet probably thought the same things we did, that moving to the London Stadium would mean a world-class team. The world-class team in a world-class stadium is what Karen Brady said. I wouldn't be surprised if the same was said to Payet, and he got there and said, hold on a minute, where's me? David Sullivan went on Sky Sports and said, I'm going to get a striker, 20-goal-a-season striker, and all of that. I wouldn't be surprised if Payet heard all that stuff as well, and then he thought, actually, this ain't going to happen. I'm off. Did he do the right thing? Was he naughty? Yes, but no, I wouldn't sell anyone now.
It's all circumstantial. I mean, what's the offer? If someone come in for 100 million, if Man City offered 100 million for Souček, would they sell him? Probably. But if Man City offered 50 million for Souček, would they sell him? No. So it depends very much on what price you're slapping on all these players' heads. In regards to his question, I think it's a Diop's the one I'd be looking to shift on in the summer, because I think he'd still get 20, 25 million, and we're just not using him. It's a shame, really, and there is a way back in the team for him. But I think if we do need funds, I think that's the best player to sell in terms of value. Tom Down says, will one of you be having a Tommy Tank while doing a live stream like the Arsenal fan last night? Nope, we will not.
Well, the season is young, Geo. The season is,
we get Champions League.
Champions League, yeah. I can see a set of circumstances.
Well, here we go. Alan, does the current form change your feelings towards the board and the stadium? Top 7 finish, is this next level? Cup running close to European football. We have a better team, better than having Zaha and Feghouli playing for us. Come on, you Irons.
Oh, it has no bearing on the stadium at all. The stadium, the seats are far too far away from the stadium. That stadium needs sorting out. The board, look, if they admit their mistakes, if they start to get it right, then something's different. But I can't. This has not been a cohesive strategy. This is the thing. If they had next level and all the rest of it, that indicates that the promises that were made in the 10-point plan, they've been achieved. Let's get this absolutely right. They find themselves in a position, and don't get me wrong, I'm all for someone realising their mistakes and getting better, but if they thought that this was the way and this was part of the plan, that David Moyes would come in and he would build this team and then they would never have sacked him in the first place. I think we've almost stumbled into this situation. Now, can they now from this situation make it better? Yes, but they're not all the same thing. We're in a good position now, but now we're in a good position. Now is the time. Show us, sort the stadium out, sort the training ground out, sort the coaching, the scouting out, get the director of football in and get it done. But let's not pretend that the reason that we are fourth, or whatever, someone said we've slipped down to fifth now, the reason we are in that position is because of a cohesive strategy from the board when we left Upton Park that they turned round and they were going to turn around and say in January 2021 we're going to be fourth in the league because of our strategy. That's not what's happened here, but I am pleased we're here.
I completely agree. It's down to the manager, it's down to the players as well, which the manager's getting out of them. In fact, all you have to do is look at this window. I'm willing to say the transfer window's not shut yet, but in a week's time it will be. And if we've not brought in a striker, I'll say, well, actually, shame on them. This just justifies why some fans will just never change their opinion, because Moyes has put us in such a big prime opportunity and they're still doing nothing. So if even this isn't going to get them to push on and be a bit ambitious, then nothing will. There's nothing will do it. They're not going to do it in August when everybody's got the same chance of finishing in the Champions League. It comes down to playing squad, so on and so forth. Moyes has basically given us a 10-point head start or something, and they're still not willing to do it. So there's going to be nothing that makes them think, yeah, okay, we're going to push on with ambition. And this is what they told us they would do. They said next level. Well, Moyes is giving you the opportunity to move to the next level. And there's 5 days left of the transfer window, and you're still sitting on your hands. So let's see something from them.
Well, I just want to answer what JH has said there, really, which is, sorry, I've just clicked it off too quickly. This is all Moyes, not GSP. Well, that's fine as well, because if you want people to change, then we have to allow them to change. If that's the case, good, because it means Sullivan has then taken a step back, which is exactly what I wanted to. I don't want him to select the players and buy the players. I don't want him to be using his agents to bring players in and all the rest of it. If that is true, and all of this is Moyes, and Sullivan's taken a step back, then I will hold my hands up and I will concede that fair enough, he's learned something. It's taken him 11 years to learn it. Granted, then good. I'm yet to be convinced, but I hope, if what we're seeing is that actually David Moyes has got his stamp all over the club and his fingerprints all over it, and he's changing things from the scout into the training, to all the things I mentioned already. Fantastic. If David Sullivan's sitting back and saying, actually, I'm not going to get involved anymore, it's all over to you, great.
Mikey John says, talk of a new contract for Moyes, but how important do you think the backroom team is to our current form? Mikey, to quote Rio Ferdinand, get a bit of paper, get it on the desk, let him write in his own digits, Moyes at the wheel kind of thing. I don't like managers being in the final year of the contract. I would have given one him in the summer, and I wasn't even convinced by Moyes in the summer, but I'd be more convinced of a manager having some sort of long-term security and able to build for the future than I am over my opinion on a manager's ability. But it should have been done in the summer. But even now, all of them, every single person in that Moyes coaching team needs a new deal, needs rewarded for the fine form. All of them do. 3-year contract, 4-year contract, whatever. Get them down, get them to sign it, and let's just look forward. Well, let's get the season done first, because it's not over yet. It usually is, but it's not. But we've got some sort of plan going forward.
Yeah, absolutely. And the other thing, I don't want to talk about it anymore. I'm really keen now to actually enjoy the team playing well. I don't want to talk about the negative.
All right, then. Well, let's move on then.
No, I don't mean in this. I mean, I don't want to talk about Gold and Sullivan and Brady and all the rest of it. I do really want to focus on the team. I feel like we've spent the last 10 years talking about them. Do you know what I mean?
Just quickly then, Mikey, would you be thrilled to see us lift the cup in an empty Wembley as being there? I mean, you can't be, can you?
Thrilled to be. Thrilled to win the cup. Gutted that you couldn't be there. Gutted. You know, yeah, I would be gutted. Actually, something I've looked forward to for a very, very long time. Not just me, clearly, a lot of us, and I know a lot of people, particularly a lot of people, go home and away, and they do so and they've done so for years, safe in the knowledge that because they had the loyalty points, because they had all of that we got to that promised land, they would get a ticket and they get to Wembley and they get to see their team play in the cup. That would be a cruel.
I think on the day you would forget about it, you would enjoy it, sit around, you'd be with your friends, whatever. And then I think a couple of days later, that's when it would hit you, and you thought,
do you know what, Gio? It's quite funny actually. We were I can say it. I won't be watching anyway. We got kids' birthdays coming up soon, and we were saying, what can we do to try and make it special? And my wife was looking at these things. You can hire a gazebo, and you can hire and they have chocolate fountains and all the rest of it, and you can get a hot tub, and they have a projector there as well. And you know, so it's basically they come in and they put it in your garden. You basically do like a film night with chocolate and sweets and films and you know, not bubble bath, hot tub and all the rest of it. And I thought about it and I looked at it, and for the hire it was quite expensive, and it actually got me thinking about this projector. And I thought, hold on, I had a look, and you know, you can get projectors relatively cheap. And I actually thought to myself, if the rules were, and it was in the summer and West Ham were in a cup final, this is much I dream. I've got a really, really good gazebo in there with sides and everything. I thought I bloody would. Do you know what I mean? I would get one of these projectors. I'd put it up in my garden. I'd have 10, 15 people around, mate. Do you know what I mean? Just to get some atmosphere going for the cup final. I'm already thinking we're in a cup final. It's crazy, isn't it? But I would do something, and I think it would be really important to try and do something at your home to try and get some sort of atmosphere. Do you know what I mean? To try and make it special. But I do agree, once the day came, you would be into it. I don't think you'd spend all day gutted that you weren't there. I think you would be pleased West Ham were in the final.
I'm going to switch over to the YouTube questions that we got before we went live. Then we're going to go to the live chat. We'll do the Twitter ones another day, but I just want to make sure we get some interaction with the live chat done tonight. Chris Coleman, is this West Ham side better than the Moyes Everton side? Funny you asked that, Chris. We've done a video for tomorrow that's on the Hammers Chat Forum channel. If you're watching this after Thursday morning, it's already on the forum channel, so go check it out. We discussed exactly that. He asks about the bowling season as well. James Gunn asks, when are you booking flights for the Champions League final in 2021-22?
Imagine. Honestly, can you imagine? Obviously, we can't, because we would need new owners for that. You know, Moyes can take us so far, but he can't do that. You get to a point you need money. Moyes will get to a point where he can't do any more with the limited money he's got. At the moment, it's a bit of a perfect storm, because actually no one, I mean, obviously Villa signed Sanson yesterday. Not a lot of spending going on this window. I would imagine. I've not looked. I'll have to have a look. I think it's probably the lowest ever for spending. So at the moment, it's a bit of a perfect storm in that. Neville Bartos said the same thing about everything being a perfect storm. But there's a bit of luck, a bit of Moyes, a bit of this, and people aren't spending. So actually, Moyes is very good with that. It then becomes difficult when everyone else can then go and spend 50, 60 million pounds on players. The gap becomes so. Champions League final. I know it was a joke. I would love that. Can you imagine? Imagine getting on a plane going to a Champions League final.
No, we're not getting there. We'd do ridiculously well to get to the Champions League full stop. But if we got to Champions League group stage, we'd get knocked out of them, which is, there's no shame in it. You know, that's just the way it would happen. Because while I spoke about coefficients, we would be one of the bottom seeds in that Champions League group stage. So we'd end up with flipping Bayern Munich and Lyon in our group stage or something. It would be enjoyable and it would create some memories, but I don't think we'd get much victory.
There you go. FA Cup final in my garden under the gazebo with a projector. It is them.
Happy days. Dave Goodyear says, do you think we can go for both the league and FA Cup equally instead of prioritising one or the other?
I'd like that, Dave. I would like you can come round for the FA Cup in Gonzo's garden. I would like that, Dave. I would really. My bloody windows keep on jumping on this computer. I would really like that, and I think we can. Not only do I think we can, Dave, I'm glad you mentioned that. I think Moyes thinks that. He's not said it. I think he does. I think he's dealing with a really confident geezer here. I think he plays it humble and all the rest of it, and you know, fruit and veg and all that. But I think he fancies it.
While we have the squad we've got and there's no injuries, of course we can. If we have a major injury or something, that's when Moyes is then forced to pick almost a little bit. But yeah, definitely, I absolutely think we can as well. Richard says, what 3 players from the under-23s to be a part of the first team next season? Who would you like to see?
I'd love to see. I watched the under-23s the other day. Kai Corbett, he looks really good. I don't know if anyone's seen him. Anyone in the chat there? Whoa, what a player he is! Bit like he's got a touch of the Jack Grealish about him, which the few girls in the Birmingham area have said. And yeah, he's a really good player. Smooth. He was really good. Baptiste does look a bit special as well. The number 7, I can't remember his name now. I'm sorry. Number 7 played recently for the under-23s against Chelsea. Someone put his name in there. Longelo looks okay as well. Longelo looks really good, actually. He almost scored a wonder goal Danilo's saying Dongali almost scored a wonder goal in that. There are some players coming through, but Kai Corbett is as good a youngster I've seen in some time. It has to be said.
Lisi, Mipo, and I think Connor Coventry to get a goal. He's a bit unfortunate. His injury come at a time when there was an opportunity for a centre midfielder to get into the team. But we made a mistake with Josh Cullen. For those that don't know, I mentioned on another video. He's captain of Anderlecht now. He's having a really, really good season, and he's captain. You know, Vincent Kompany has made him captain. Like I said, you can question his ability and stuff, but Vincent Kompany knows what you need for a leadership, and he's chosen Josh Cullen as his leader. Yeah, I've seen that guy. I've seen his name.
That's the number 7 I was talking about. Really good.
A free kick.
Harrison Ashby, Tommy mentioned as well. Forgot about him. I was so impressed when I saw him. Good player.
Nick Craven, this is a hard question to ask, so sorry if I don't explain it well. He said, if you had a Mount Rushmore of athletes from your country, who would it be? You're only allowed one person per sport. As an Aussie, he would have Ian Thorpe, Tim Cahill, Steve Smith, and John Eales.
Tim Cahill?
Yeah.
He's a footballer for Australia?
Yeah.
Wow. I'm surprised. I am surprised at that. I don't know how well... Well, Harry Kewell, what a player Harry Kewell was.
Tim Cahill's like a legend for Australia.
No Kathy Freeman there. It's not for me to say. I don't know. I was just surprised at that. Whoa. Okay. That is a fantastic question. But it's a personal thing, isn't it? I guess. This is a real personal thing. I would probably go Bobby Moore, Nigel Benn, because it's a personal thing. I'm sorry to say, it's 4, isn't it? It's Rushmore 4 of them up there, isn't it? Carved in the thing. Daley Thompson. I don't. If I am sorry, Chris. I love you to bits, Chris. By the way. In fact, I am. I've got to put him up there. Chris Sakabusi. Daley Thompson, Chris Sakabusi. Have I got all 4? Bobby Moore and Nigel Benn. Yeah. Special sportsman.
I think I would have. I don't know. I don't do sport.
You haven't really got any for Scotland, have you?
I'll have
Chris Hoy. Got to have Chris Hoy.
Yeah, but I was going to say Kenny Dalglish for the footballer, but then I want to say Alex Ferguson. So he's not the footballer itself; it's football, but as for his manager merit. So I'll say Alex Ferguson, Andy Murray, Chris Hoy, and I don't really know any other sports. Is Coulthard? He's Scottish, isn't he?
What, the golfer?
No, is a Coulthard? Is that how you say the F1 driver?
Oh, yeah, but Jackie Stewart was far more successful.
Yeah, that's another one. Yeah, we'll go there. I'll go him. I don't do sport other than football. I don't do anything.
I might have to try and maybe I'll just carve another one and put Mark Cavendish up there or something. Brad Wiggins, maybe Wiggins, one of them. Yeah.
Right, live chat. Get your questions in. Return to the live chat now for the remainder of the show. Langer Studios says, "I appreciate you lads with the league going well. You could have 4th place finish or the FA Cup final. But you can't guarantee the win in top 10. So basically, 4th or cup final."
Yeah, I would still take the cup final. I mean, as massively tempting as Champions League is, I do think Geo's right. I think we go out. Not only think 4th place don't even guarantee your group stage. I think you might have to go into a qualifier. Champions League final, 50-50 to win the game with the team we've got at the moment. Yeah, special. Plus, I get to have a party in my garden with loads of people around.
Yeah,
if the missus allows it.
I'd pick the FA Cup as well. And you know something, I fully 100% expect and understand for anyone that works for West Ham United to pick 4th place. It's best for the business. It would bring in a lot of money. It would raise the club massively in terms of profile. To be honest with you, YouTube sense, it would be better for Hamish Chat to be 4th. It would be better for Hamish Chat to be in the Champions League for the videos and stuff like that. But as a West Ham fan, FA Cup any day, FA Cup. West Ham Online, he was on the show. He was on Top West Ham the other day as well. He says, do you think Hwang will offer us the pace and width of Antonio from what you know? Do you think he can play on the wing as well?
Well, I had a European expert. Was Alex? Was his name Alex? Was Alex, wasn't it?
It was, yeah.
And he said Hwang Hee-chan can play all across the front line. So yes, I think it could. But I know nothing more than picking someone's brain for 5 minutes about him. Obviously, Geo did a video the other day as well. What?
His lack of scoring is my concern, and that's why if I had to compare him to a striker in the Premier League, it would probably be Roberto Firmino. It probably would be. It would be Firmino, but he would create a lot for us. The problem is, I'd almost want to see him play with Antonio, not necessarily up front with him, but even if he replaced Bowen or played on the left or something, or in the number 10 role, I'd prefer him to see that as an out-and-out striker. I think he'd suit us more than Sebastian Haller. I think he works hard. He presses a lot. He puts in a lot of tackles and stuff. He ticks a lot of boxes for David Moyes is looking for in terms of the work ethic. The only bit missing is a goal-scoring touch. He's not the biggest, not the most prolific goal scorer. He's not a big boy either. He's under 6 foot tall, but he's quite stocky. He's quite strong.
Just so we were on the same page here, Terry. £50. If I was charging, I can tell you we'd be going towards beer and pizza. I think the extravagance of having such a party in the garden would.
Stop touching buttons. That's not a question. You stop touching the buttons. I'm going to kick you out. Ben says, if Moyes asked the players what they were more excited about, would it be qualifying for the European football or the FA Cup? I think it depends. I think it depends on the nationality.
It does. It does.
I reckon you ask the English players and Declan Rice, I think they would pick the FA Cup, whereas I think the majority of the rest would probably prefer European football. That's
why he was to bring Lingard in to swing the balance slightly.
I think so. Maybe that's it. Maybe
get rid of Snodgrass, the foreigner. Brings in the Englishman.
Yeah, maybe the foreigners will be looking at Rice thinking, why could you not still be Irish? Because then we would have won this vote.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, he thinks both. Because he's both foreign and English, Declan Rice, he thinks both things.
Big decisions. Reid, Yarmolenko, Fredericks, Anderson on there, 50 million on there. First of all, you're not getting 50 million for those 4 players. What game are you playing, Kyle?
Carl's English. He likes the FA Cup more.
Fredericks is an interesting one, though. He's got 18 months left on his contract. I do think we need to decide about him, probably in the summer. But I think we've got to make a decision about him, really, because he's now sort of in his peak years, if you want. Summer's the last time you're going to get any money for him, and even then, it won't be much, will it?
He didn't cost us anything. He was free, and I think with that in mind, I mean, it puts off having to. If he's happy to be our second reserve right back, for it sort of puts off having to make a decision, really, doesn't it? And having to sign anyone.
Something I haven't thought about when Masuaku comes back in, how quick do you think Moyes will go to 5 at the back? I think Masuaku's in trouble now.
Do you? I have thought about it, Jazza, to be fair. I was talking about it today, actually. And he is... I don't know. I've got to be honest with you. I had it in my mind. He really likes the 5 at the back. And now I'm thinking he's settled on the 4. I think Moyes is a pragmatist. I think he switches when things aren't working. So I think if we went through a little period where the 4 at the back wasn't working, we switch to the 5 and Masuaku finds his way back in. But I don't think he walks back into the team. I don't think just because Masuaku's fit and ready that he changes things. I just don't think that's what Moyes does. I think Moyes will carry on with the 4 at the back until it fails.
Yeah, I think Masuaku's in trouble. I think Moyes will stick with this formation he's got now. He'll only switch to 3 at the back when there's an injury. I think he's forced to switch to 3 at the back. And I don't think Masuaku is good enough as a left back. I'm sorry, but I don't. I think Creswell's always been the better of the two as a conventional left back. And that was before Creswell's raised his game, which he's done this season. I think Masuaku is going to struggle a little bit. I don't know where we'll play him. I think we'd probably more like to see him play left wing than left back in the future. JH says, if we got Europa League and Goal Sullivan and Brady give you 100 million to add to the squad, what would you do?
I'd go big on 2 players. I'd go big on 2 players, and I would use
positions.
Central midfield, definitely central midfield, and if we're in the Europa League, if we cannot go through a whole. Who are you going to play? Let's say Rice and Souček are not available. They can't play 2 games a week all the time. You're not going to go through that and then put Mark Noble in there next season. It's just not going to happen. We would need a central.
I just think a £50 million player is quite expensive to then.
Well, about 50 million. It costs about 50 million these days.
Well, I don't think you do. I think I'd agree with you by getting one star player in that we couldn't afford otherwise. Probably a striker, to be honest with you. I'd probably get in a top striker. And then I would probably look to get in 3 or 4 players around 10, 15, 20 million. A centre midfielder, a fullback possibly, another striker possibly. I'd look to bulk out the squad a little bit.
But then you don't get what you said, which was your reasoning for getting the Europa League, which is you go over there and the youngsters get all this experience. You don't, because what you've done is you've bought a load of 10 million pound players to play in those positions. But my reason for doing the two was you immediately put 2 players bang in the first team. That puts 2 of those on the bench, and then you are still leaving positions open for whatever Ashby or Ben Johnson, whatever the case may be, or the Becco to play in Europe.
Yeah, you could get James Ward-Prowse and Danny Ings with that, and you might even have 10 million left over. Dylan says, "Are you worried that another club might come in for David Moyes given his performances? And if they do and he leaves, what do we do apart from cry and drink whiskey?"
I'm not worried at all. I think another club would come in. Listen to Moyes talk. I am really impressed with that man. He is a man of integrity. I think he knows what he's doing at West Ham. I think he was burnt a little bit at Old Trafford. Don't blame him for ambition, absolutely. But I think this is looking very familiar to Moyes. I think he's been here before. He's seen it at Everton. I think he feels he can build something. And almost every press conference, he's talking about the future. I think the deal's done. It's just not signed. I think they've both agreed. I think both Sullivan and Moyes have agreed that he's staying, and that's that. And as such, and they both said, you know what, it's no problem. We'll get it signed when it gets done. Arsene Wenger went on for 10 odd years doing this, and it's no problem. We'll get it sorted. It's all but agreed. I'm not worried. He does not speak like a man that's leaving.
No, I'm not worried at all either. I wouldn't be surprised there is something agreed. I think it might even depend on our league positioning and stuff, just to what contract you get. So obviously, if he gets Champions League football, Moyes won't sign a contract today in case he gets Champions League football. Because if he signs a contract today, he's signing a standard Premier League manager wage, bonus, so on and so forth. We get Champions League, he can walk into Sullivan and ask for what he wants on that contract essentially, and say, "Oh, I'm sorry, mate, but my wages have just tripled overnight." And Sullivan would have to give him it. Moyes is in a really good bargaining position of strength. David Moyes has got for these negotiations, should there be any going on. But he says if we buy a striker that displaces Antonio, would Antonio become one of the 3 behind him? And if so, who does he replace?
I spoke about this really very recently. I think you'd find Antonio playing on the left, because he just works so hard. I think if that happened, your scenario happened, and he took one of those, I think you'd find him playing on the left side of midfield and sort of doing the job that Fornals does now, and sort of covering, Cresswell, and doing that, 'cause he just will track back and he will work. Don't think he'd be playing every minute of every game, but I think you would have a long busting 65 minutes from Antonio if that happened there. But something's going to happen. Antonio can't be our only striker for the next 3 years or whatever his contract is. Something else needs to be done, and that means he will either go to the bench on some games, and he will move position, and he can move position. He is adaptable.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think he would probably drop into that in that 3. I think there'd be some games you'd see him on the bench, some games you'd see him start or something. But I tell you what, if someone comes in and puts him on the bench, he's a damn good striker, whoever it is we've just signed. But I want to see Antonio and this new guy, whoever it is, should we get one, I want to see them almost competing 1v1. My problem with if you put him in that 3, you almost lose your second striker. You bring in a striker, you put Antonio into the attacking midfield position. Who's your next striker? You don't have one. You've then got to take Antonio back out and put someone else back in. And there's too much moving parts for me. I would rather Antonio is a striker, unless injuries and stuff. But if everyone's fit, this new striker and Antonio just battle for one shirt, really. And it would get the best out of both of them. I'm sure you could bring Antonio on to play in the 3 and behind if you need a goal or whatever. But in terms of starting, I wouldn't put Antonio in one of those positions. I'd put him on the bench and say, the only way you're getting in here, mate, is up front. That's the only position you're getting in. Go out there, score goals, and you'll get back in. Robert Gates says, "Gents, apparently there's an extra 2 years that we can activate on Lucas Fabianski. Should we do it? If not, who would be a realistic replacement?" It's going to be quiet on the contract front for Fabianski and Balbuena. Both of their contracts expire in the summer, as does Mark Noble. But I think we're all a little bit... No one's going to be trying to steal Mark Noble, are they? But with Fabianski and Balbuena, I'd imagine there's a few clubs looking, thinking, I'll have him if he leaves there.
Yeah, I'll just do it. Yeah, well, Balbuena needs signing up on. Balbuena's 27, 28, something like that. There's no there's no reason not to give him a 4-year contract. I would put Fabianski on a 1-year rolling contract. I think you just have to watch him. I don't think you need to do anything else. I don't think you want to put him on a 2-year deal and then find they when keepers go, they go quickly. You know, I'm not even sure if it's a funny one, keeper, because they tend to be older than outfield players. I know this myself. I could see like a hawk. Can hawks see well? I think they can see well. Whatever. I could see like a well-seeing animal up until the point where I got to my late 30s, and then I sort of went blind as a bat, basically. I don't know whether your eyesight goes or something like that as a goalkeeper, but when they go quickly. They decline quite rapidly. You do not want to find he's got 18 months left on an 80 grand a week contract or anything like that. Just do 1 year for Fabianski. I think you'll sign it.
Yeah, I'd give him a 1 year as well, but this is where I'd be very much scouting for a new goalkeeper. I would have one prepared for this summer, just in case Fabianski turns around and says, actually, I'm all right. I've had a good run in the Premier League. I'm retiring now. I've got my money. I'm safe. I'm comfortable. But if that doesn't happen, we need to know who we're going to go after next summer. Sam Johnson would be the keeper that I would put up at my number 1 target at the minute. West Brom's goalkeeper. I think he's been brilliant for them, despite conceding a lot of goals. He's the reason they're not conceding 6 every game, really. Christopher, thank you. He says, can I just say the constant stream of West Ham content you're providing is so good.
Oh, good. Thank you. You're welcome.
We're doing it for a reason, Christopher. We'll touch on that next week or the week after that. Kyle, how come Man United could play with Berbatov or Rooney, 2 different style strikers? Man City had Aguero and Dzeko, different attributes. And even Kane and Llorente were different for Spurs. That's a good question.
In relation to how
what I'm trying to say is Man City would change their striker completely, yet the team still functioned.
Yeah, I mean, but I would also argue that those teams could change their styles as well. Fergie particularly would change his style towards the end. He went a lot of his career doing 4-4-2, but you look at the last 5-6 years of Alex Ferguson's career, he started changing formation quite a lot and just changed the way we play. Also playing with better players, you know, you can adapt and what's a player? But I know Rooney was obviously their record goal scorer, a wonderful player. What a touch Berbatov had. What a silky player he was, by the way. Dzeko, Man City, isn't it? You know, the amount of money that they've spent. I just think they're different circumstances.
I think they're the best teams in the league, though. They can do that. They dictate how the game is played, essentially. Man U rock up at West Ham, Burnley, Sheffield United, or whatever back then with Fergie. They chose how the game was going to be played, whether it was whoever they put up front. They dictated everything. We can't do that at West Ham. We have to look at the opposition and say, well, you do what you're going to do, and then we're going to adapt to it. But also, Moyes is quite stubborn. Moyes is stubborn. He's got his system at the minute. It's working really, really well, so he doesn't need to change it. But I think he's a stubborn manager in the sense that, well, my system is working, so why should I change it for Sebastian Haller? Different managers play different things. There'll be examples of other managers at top clubs as well that just won't change the way they play football. They will not change their system. They've had strikers that they will not do anything up front to get them in. You look at Frank Lampard at Chelsea, arguably he ballsed up by doing exactly that. He had Timo Werner, he had Tammy Abraham and Olivier Giroud. I couldn't think of 3 different strikers individually. Yeah, he couldn't get any of them to work. So, you know, you've got 3 systems there and he couldn't get any system to work there. Jack Hatcher, we've got 1 remaining stand at London Stadium that we can name. The board needs to sort it out. I'm not sure they can. Correct me if I'm wrong, Gonzo. I think in the contract, they're only allowed to name 2 stands after a player. I could be wrong. I think the other one's we've got 3. We've got Moorbrook in Bonds, and the other one's like the Betway, isn't it? Is it called the Betway?
I don't know. It's a farce anyway. It is a farce because they are only named that. Well, firstly, they're not a stand. It's one big oval, right? So they're not separate stands. Secondly, it's only it's only that when West Ham play in there. So when the Athletics are in there, it's something completely different. Realistically, it should be. There should be something done. There's no history for West Ham in that stadium yet. It really should be the Jessica Ennis stand. I mean, if they're going to name one more stand or Usain Bolt stand or something like that, that's really what it should be. But I do find it's farcical about basically when football's in there, it ignores the fact that athletics was ever in there. And when athletics is in there, it ignores the fact that football exists in there. Why not let's just be honest about it? Have a couple of stands named after West Ham players, have one named after bloody gold medal winner for the country. Do you know what I mean? Or something like that. whatever. So my favourite one, someone mentioned the Sam Allardyce stand, which I do think would be my choice.
So you're not too bothered about the names of the stand then. That's good. Stan says, who would be your ideal striker this window?
I don't know a lot about these players. I've not seen much of these players. The best of the lot that I saw, what I thought was this Adam Hlosek at Sparta Prague was the one. Well, I actually got it was two, but he was one. As soon as I saw him, thought, okay, this guy looks good, but I don't know anything about him at all, really. Ideal striker, I don't know. I'm not sure that I've ideally seen one, really, to be honest with you.
I can't think of any. I can't think of one. Ideal is a tough description to sort of justify. I think Edouard or Celtic would be a very compatible choice with the way David Moyes plays. I guess him, really. I think I'd go with Edouard. Mike, what do you think Moyes saw in Dawson that no one else did?
I wouldn't say nobody else did. I wouldn't. I would imagine. I liked what Moyes said, actually. Now, I don't know this, but I believe Moyes when he said it. He said, I don't know why everyone's surprised about Dawson. He said, this is how he plays. And I think, okay, that's fine. I thought all Moyes saw was someone that can play in his system. Because I do think system is king under Moyes. I do think you can. That's why when Balbuena played in there was no problem. Balbuena played well. You know, it's not like we've only picked up our points. We're only fourth or whatever, fifth, whatever it might be, since the last 4 or 5 games and Dawson's played in there. No, we picked up points all season. And Balbuena was a big part of that as well. So I do think system is king. I just think he saw a player who was a real strong characters, our players as well. He saw some leadership qualities and he knew he could play in the system. And he knew when he told him how he wanted him to defend, that he was already sort of used to doing that. That's all. I don't think there was anything magical happened there.
And he was cheap and available.
Yeah.
Well, he was, because if he was perfect, he would have went after him straight away, and they wouldn't have bothered with Tarkowski for 30 million extra, would they? They went after him for a reason. And then it was sort of like, well, you've no longer got that big money anymore. We're now putting it to one side for Saeed Benrahma. You're going to have a cheaper centre-back, and I think that's why we ended up with Craig Dawson. But again, he's the right character and stuff. So yeah, I think that's why David Moyes went for him. David Moyes, I think he said at the weekend, he's got to get the right people in. He doesn't want people in for the sake of it. And he's not just talking about ability, he's talking about mentality and attitude and application and stuff like that. They're talking about all that stuff. I think this is probably why David Moyes is a bit like frustrated about not being able to go view players, because you can when you watch people on the recordings and stuff, I mean, the camera follows the ball, doesn't it? So if you're watching a defender, you only see a defender for half the game roughly. The other half, he's out the shot. But what you can't see is his character. You can't really see his communication on the pitch and stuff. You can't see stuff like that. So when I understand why David Moyes probably wants to go sit there for 90 minutes and say, there's my man. I'm going to sit here and watch him for 90 minutes. I'm not following the ball. I am following that man. I'm going to see what he's doing off the ball. I'm going to see what he's doing communicating with his goalkeeper. I'm going to see what he's doing at set pieces. Is he organising that box, or is he getting told what to do? He's probably looking at stuff that you can't really see on the television. So I kind of actually sympathise with him. And I think that's why he's struggling a little bit by not being able to go and look at all these players. In the summer, yes, we've got Sufalin. I'm sorry, but Thomas Souček, Frederic's got injured. We need a right back. And Souček said, this guy, I've played with him in 2 different clubs. He's fantastic. I played with him in the National League. Get him in. And we said, yeah, all right, we'll have a little look. Yeah, he looks okay. We'll get him in. Right. We got recommended him. I think this is why this window in particular, David Moyes is probably struggling a little bit. He's probably looking around and thinking, well, that guy, Hwang Hee-chan looks decent, but what kind of, like, is he all right? Like, I don't know. I sympathise with David Moyes a little bit because he's a little bit more non-footballing ability as well as footballing ability. Anyway, Gonzo, anything else you'd like to?
No, we've got a video of our patrons to record now. Are we going live with that, or are we?
Yeah. We're going to go live. So anyway, thank you for joining us in this page. Like the video if you enjoyed it. Subscribe new around here. Myself and Gonzo are off to record a channel update video for the patron. So if you're a patron, stick around. And if you're not a patron, well, links in the description if you want to find out a little bit more about it. Gonzo, I'll see you in 5 minutes.
Look forward to it.